Hello everyone, my name is Hugo and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to give you 5 recommendations of non-fiction books for people who don't read non-fiction that much. And I am actually one of those people. I don't read it that much, so it's probably you can trust my recommendations since I enjoy them and I don't read that much non-fiction as well. I think, right? Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. So anyway, let's just get into the top 5, I guess. Okay, so first one, I haven't read this one yet, but I have read Sapiens, which is not a prequel, but this is like the sequel, also not really a sequel. But Sapiens is actually about, well, it's this author, Yuval Noah Harari, and he basically discusses the complete history of humankind ever. So he starts even with the Big Bang, and then he makes his way through like the first people that stood up, the first intelligent people, the first inventions of people, and then makes his way through the Roman Empire, Middle Ages, all the way until modern times. It's very interesting, especially if you like history, if you like that kind of stuff, you're going to love that one. It's probably a bit of an obvious choice since it's like multi-million copy bestseller. So, but yeah, I really wanted to include it in this video because I really love that book and I really need to read this one as well. This is A Brief History of Tomorrow. So it's like how he, how he predicts what the future, how he thinks the future will be like, more or less. And I haven't read it I haven't read it yet, but I am very excited to. Next up is something that I recommend to people who enjoy philosophy or maybe read a self-help book every once in a while. And if you like to read self-help books, I applaud you for it, it's good. I don't like them, but I think you would benefit more from reading some philosophy. That being said, some philosophy is quite difficult to get into, like me thinking I'm so smart, I bought Human All Too Human, I think it's called. Yeah, so I thought, yeah, I'm smart enough, and I bought like Nietzsche, Human All Too Human, and I started reading it, and I could not get into it. I could barely understand what it's about. Maybe I need to read it in Dutch. Maybe I just read the neat. I need to read more philosophy before I get into this one. So philosophy can be something pretty rough to get into, but I think this is pretty easy. It's I don't know if you can see it. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor. He was one of the 5 great ones, they say. And why is that red? I think my memory is almost full. Anyway, so he was one of the 5 great ones. And yeah, it's basically a diary of his and just thoughts that he wrote down to remind himself how he best acts through life and how he decides to do stuff. And that's a very vague description of me. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like very good advice most of the time, and it's if you don't know, he's a Stoic. If you don't know what a Stoic is, it's like people not really blocking their emotions but controlling them, if that makes sense, or not act on them too much and like put things into perspective. And if you get mad about certain things, like I for one am someone who gets mad very quickly. I have like sort of anger issues you can say. And this really helped me to take care of that a bit. And if you get mad about little things, then it's just basically like, what's it gonna help you, and what is it gonna help anybody else that you get mad over that? Like, no, it's not. And then just count to 10 and rethink why you get mad. Is that really the reason, or is it something else? Stuff like that. Anyway, I'm rambling and I'm not really describing it, but I really recommend you check it out. There's probably like a free ebook somewhere, because I think it's public domain, and then you can read that one or like a bit and see if it's something for you. Okay, next up I have something that probably not a lot of people recommend, and it's Jeremy Clarkson. Not necessarily this one, this is Round the Bend, and wow, he really likes himself, doesn't he? So what does he write? If you don't know, Jeremy Clarkson is like a host, a TV host of car shows. Most known is Top Gear and the Grand Tour now on Amazon. And I really like him, and especially him with his co-workers, James May and Richard Hammond. I really like watching them and his shows, and I really enjoy reading his stuff as well. So if you don't know, yeah, this one is, if you want to read this one, you probably need to enjoy cars as well. So here he not really reviews, but like discusses cars in different ways, in like a comic way. But he also has like other stuff, like For Crying Out Loud, and then it's just, he takes little things that he notices and then he just writes about it, and he writes his thoughts down. He had a column in like the what's it, like the Sun, I think, the newspaper, and this is his books are basically like collections of his columns, but he just writes about stuff, just what he thinks about it, and it's very funny and it's very random too. It's like him discussing, I don't know, let me just read some of the titles of his columns. Mother knows all the best games, and then it's probably him discussing about how his mother came up with the best games, and then something funny about that. Trust me, it's genius. It's just genius. This book, it's so funny, it's so lighthearted. I always have one in my bag when I go out. Right now I'm slowly getting through this one, The World According to Clarkson, and it's just something I always have on me, like one of his books. It's something I can grab like in the bus, then I just read a couple of pages, and when I need to get out, it's not that hard to put down. While if I'm reading a fiction and I'm reading on the bus and my stop is there, and I just don't want to stop, and then I just keep reading and I miss my stop. So yeah, this is very good on the road, I think. Next up is The Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Hoff, and that is basically an explanation of what Taoism is. Taoism is like an Eastern, not really religion, but philosophy on how to live, and he explains it with stories of Winnie the Pooh. As you know, if you are someone who frequently watches my video, I love Winnie the Pooh. He was my entire childhood, and yeah, he just like takes bits of stories of Winnie the Pooh and explains why Winnie the Pooh is like a Taoist, basically, and why you should live that way too. And it's like Winnie the Pooh is always like optimistic, and when everyone is like being negative, or they think they can't get out of that situation anymore, he just says this very simple but so true thing, that that everyone really should see the world like that. He has like pink glasses on Winnie the Pooh, like everything's always good, and obviously it is not. The real world isn't like that. It's not always good. But it's very light and it's very funny, and it's a real pick-me-up. If you've read Winnie the Pooh stories and you want to read more, but obviously there are no more like real stories about it, you can read that one. It goes a bit deeper into the stories, and yeah, even if you haven't read Winnie the Pooh, I still recommend it. And then last but definitely not least, I recommend Stephen Hawking, A Brief History of Time. It's something you probably only want to read if you like things about space and astronomy and physics and that kind of stuff. And it is written with the thought, it is written for people who don't know that much about physics. I have this beautiful, like, not really leather bound, but they said it was, maybe it is, I don't know, with like colored pictures and everything. Oh, you're not seeing anything. So yeah, I really love this edition, but I really recommend any other edition as well. It's about the text, obviously, and if you like physics and you like science and all that kind of stuff, you can't go wrong with this one. I wouldn't say it's very light to read. It's not light literature, but it's very good literature, and it doesn't always have to be easy and light. So yeah, so that was 5 non-fiction recommendation video for people who don't really read non-fiction that much but want to. Yeah, that's not gonna be the title, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I don't think I have anything to add to that, so hit the like button, hit the bell button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a comment on other recommendations, or maybe why one shouldn't be in here, stuff like that, or just say hi in the comments and I'll say hi back. I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye guys.